Count me down. What is up, New Media 11? I'm Nash Monroe, coming to you from the beautiful city of Vancouver. Today, you will be getting to listen in to an interview with my special guest speaker, and I will be discussing a calamity which affects not only this city, but the whole province of British Columbia. Today, we will be discussing the homeless youth crisis in BC. No, I did mention a special guest for this interview, so if you would please go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us a bit about yourself and your job.
Well, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Nash. My name's Parveen Engineer. I'm the Safe and Caring School person. I work at Churchill, Point Grey, and PW.
Mhm.
My job is basically to help students figure out what to do when situations around risk behaviors happen. So that can be anything from drugs and alcohol to carrying cans, weapons, or somebody's pulling a can or weapon on you, mental health, online bullying and harassment at school, in the community, fights, a lot of social media.
Mhm.
I do a lot of stuff with, this is really important, is, like schools webs, Instagram accounts. Don't do it.
Mhm.
Not a good thing. Um, and be mindful and respectful of each other. And I basically teach you guys, if I can start you guys off at an early age to think critically, because when you're young, your emotions take precedence over your uh, prefrontal cortex, where the decision making's coming from. So it's basically for youth, it's emotions that are basically driving the things. And if I can get you guys to think before you pick up that phone and video a fight, or put something on social media that's harmful or hurtful to people, if I can get you to stop and think and make a better choice and get help, or figure out how to be a friend, a good friend.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a bit of it.
Yeah. So you're a safe and caring schools worker.
Hmm.
From the sounds of it, you get to work with a lot of different youth who have their own unique backgrounds and stories. That would be a major component of your job, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say that the ability to create connections and build relationships in order to help youth is invaluable?
Very, that's
Nine, nine. Yeah.
99.9% of my job is uh, connection relationships,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. I asked this because according to a provincial report issued by Statistics Canada in 2023, 11,000 people identified themselves as homeless to varying extents. Of those 11,000, 9% were categorized as youth, being 25 years old or younger. That means that 1,000 youth across our province are experiencing homelessness on a daily basis.
Hmm.
Due to your admirable work with young people, I'm wondering if your profession has led you to instances where you deal with homeless youth.
I do deal with, another way we put it is unhoused.
Mm-hmm.
There's many reasons for that. And, you know, people think constantly that being unhoused, or as some people would say, is homeless, is on the downtown east side. For youth, that that does happen, but that's not just it.
Mm-hmm.
There's many factors and components, and it doesn't. I'm finding, like, one thing we can say is socioeconomics plays a factor.
Yeah.
There's risk factors, but what I'm seeing lately is that it doesn't matter where you are. It's happening for whatever reason. And I don't know how much you want me to get into some of the reasons why it happens, and how we support
Mm-hmm.
unhoused youth in Vancouver today, like some options we have for them.
Yeah, well, what do you think are the best resources for homelessness, like homeless youth in BC? Like,
What are the best
yeah, the
resources?
best resources to
That's a big question.
get them back on their feet.
Get them back
Yeah.
on their feet. First is connection.
Mm-hmm.
Everything as human beings is relationship and connection. Um, and it depends how did that person get there? So that would be the first question. And how do I support them? Resources would be things. There's numerous resources. There's things like Covenant House. There's Three Bridges. Uh, there's Broadway Youth Resource Center. They have beds for youth that they can access. They have counselors that they can access at all sites. If you there's a lot of provincial resources,
Mhm.
just checking those out online. Just off the top of my head, I don't have anything prepared, so I can't.
Yeah.
But that in Vancouver itself, and every city will have, they'll have resources that youth can receive. It's just a question of how do you receive
Yeah.
those
Exactly.
resources, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And do you want those
Mhm.
resources?
So you mentioned that there are a lot of reasons and factors that can go into homelessness for youth.
Hmm.
What do you believe to be the biggest factor for them?
That's a good question. The I wouldn't say it's the biggest factor because with the students I've experienced with unhoused, it's been mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. So there's a kids helpline. That's another resource you got youth can access. You can access children's. You can go see your pediatrician as well. Sorry, I know I'm going off a bit here,
No, it's okay.
but when I'm thinking about that, like there's there's different there's Foundry, there's Pacific Spirit, which also has mental health access for youth, and on Hastings and Slocan, I think that's Northeast Mental Health that youth can access. What I'm seeing the reasons for it, there's things such as trauma, definitely, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be intergenerational, PTSD. Um, a big thing I'm seeing is with, uh, you know, is with the queer community.
Mm-hmm.
Because of acceptance or not being accepted, not having the support of family, um, and then also uh, neurodivergence, which is different. You know, how do I say it? What would be a good way for people to understand neurodivergence? Um, uh, People with autism, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, and then there's compounding factors. So you have mental health, you have, and that's, what happens with substance use. Substance use is usually for youth. Yes, some of it's experimental, but also some of it is to any substance is kind of to stop whatever's hurting you
Yeah.
or you can't deal with. So it's one reason for to deal with the pain, and it's kind of cyclical, and then there's not enough facilities to help with the mental health,
Mm.
right? So like when we go back into the history of Vancouver's kind of interesting because aside from the youth, when we look at unhoused people and mental health and we look at the downtown east side, Vancouver has it's a temperate climate in the whole country, right? So you have people from the other parts of the country that come here because our winters aren't as
Yeah.
bad,
Yeah.
but they're getting there. Uh, and there's resources, but it's I don't know how to describe it really. It's, mm, Sorry, I just have to think here.
Yeah.
Um, there's not. I don't think we're reaching people young enough to help them through the mental health piece, and especially with youth today, we're seeing a lot of anxiety, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
if we can help the unhoused and is providing um, better supports when they're younger for mental health, for anxiety, for stability, like helping, counseling with family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things to help make things better for youth, and just because it's a trajectory, right? You just don't end up on unhoused overnight.
Yeah.
There are
Exactly.
numerous things that happen. So
So you would say that mental health is probably one of the biggest factors for
mental health,
health.
yeah.
Are there any instances that you've encountered with students you've worked with in the past that would make you say that mental health is the biggest reason?
One of the biggest reasons,
Do you
yeah.
have a story to tell on that? Or no?
Um Well, I kind of alluded to, you see, what's in my head right now is I'm just thinking about students that I've worked with who
Mm-hmm.
are uh, what's coming to my mind right now is a student who's trans, neurodivergent, relationship with parents that aren't where they should be. But how are we helping that person in
Yeah.
society? Like, how are we helping that student with their,
Yeah.
with um, not putting up barriers, because barriers are huge, right?
Yeah.
So, first, what are we addressing first? Are we addressing that the neurodivergence, the mental health, the being transgendered and being supportive of all that? Making sure that the relationship with the family is as solid as can be. It's a really complex because I
Yeah.
have so many with mental health that I can think of. And then comes the substance use, right? And yeah, you have to give me time for that one,
Yeah.
Nash.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. So would you like to leave a message for all our viewers out there as we wrap this interview up?
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if anybody ever just needs somebody to talk to, most important part is to listen
Listen, yeah.
with open mind, open heart, non-judgmental. Somebody you trust. If you need access to resources, see your counselor, come
Mm-hmm.
see me.
Yeah.
Um, know that there's support for you always out there, and it's just a question of finding the person that you feel safest with to connect with, I think is most important. And never be embarrassed or ashamed of what you're going through, because um, it impacts us all. I think it's safe to say all of us at some point suffer from some sort of our mental health is in a constant
Yeah.
flux, right? It goes up and down, and it's just a question of knowing when are you knowing that you need help and when to get help, and never be ashamed to ask for help. I'm here for you at the school, and I'm happy to support you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a great message. Thank you for taking your time to be here. We really appreciate that. And yeah.
thank you. These guys are great.
Yeah.